Have you ever stared at your bank account at the end of the month, literally completely baffled by where all your hard-earned cash actually went? You promised yourself you'd save, you set this strict budget, and yet somehow the money just vanished. Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a universal struggle. I mean, we all want financial security, right? But almost all of us find saving money to be just incredibly difficult. We beat ourselves up about it. We think we're just lacking discipline. But what if I told you the game is actually rigged from the inside? So why does your brain want you to go broke? It sounds completely counterintuitive, doesn't it? Like, no way. We constantly blame a lack of willpower or poor character or just bad habits when we fail to save. But the real culprit, it's actually hiding deep within our own biology. Your brain, working exactly as it was perfectly designed to do, is fundamentally opposed to the whole idea of a savings account. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the broke brain mystery, where we'll be uncovering the biological sabotage of your bank account. Which brings us to Part 2, life on the savannah. This is where our financial instincts were actually born. To really understand this mystery, we've got to look backward. And I mean way backward. We're traveling back in time hundreds of thousands of years to the harsh, unforgiving environment of the Pleistocene era, right? This is life on the savannah. It's the exact environment where our most deeply ingrained instincts, including our financial ones, were forged in the absolute fires of survival. Imagine you're an early human, just wandering this ancient landscape. Suddenly, you come across this massive, vibrant bush of sweet, calorie-dense berries. What do? I mean, do you eat a handful and then carefully pack the rest away to save for your retirement in 30 years? Of course not. There were no caveman 401ks. Survival meant immediate consumption. If you didn't eat those berries right then and there, they'd just rot in the sun, or some competing tribe would steal them, or a wild animal would snatch them up. In that harsh environment, hoarding perishable resources simply did not make sense. In fact, it was a terrible survival strategy. So your brain learned a very simple, extremely powerful rule to keep you alive. If you find a valuable resource, consume it immediately. A calorie unconsumed was literally a calorie wasted. And that brings us to a concept known as the savannah savings trap. This is the formal term for our ancient biological instinct to consume resources immediately, which, as you can probably guess, causes massive friction with modern long-term financial planning. We really have to remember that biologically speaking, we are essentially highly evolved primates trying to navigate a profoundly modern problem. Evolution takes millions of years to rewrite our mental software, but things like the concept of money, banks, compounding interest, those were invented in just the blink of an evolutionary eye. We're basically running ancient software on modern hardware. So let's look at Part 3, the modern mismatch. Ancient brains trying to survive in a modern financial system. The environment around us shifted dramatically and incredibly fast, right? But the gray matter inside our skulls, it stayed exactly the same. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast we deal with every single day. On one side, you have your savannah brain. It's literally screaming at you to consume immediately and just survive today. It desperately wants that rapid dopamine hit of acquiring a resource right now. But on the other side, the modern economy requires us to do the exact opposite. It demands that we save for tomorrow, delay gratification, and plan for retirement that is, frankly, decades away. Do you see the friction here? The world we actually live in is asking you to do the exact opposite of what your biology believes is necessary to keep you alive. When you try to save money, your primitive brain genuinely feels like you're leaving perfectly good berries on the bush to just sit there and rot. So how does this invisible trap actually end up draining our bank accounts in everyday life? Well, it manifests in some incredibly common behaviors that I'm sure you probably recognize. First up, severe impulse buying. You know that rush you feel when you click buy now on a flashy new gadget? That is just your savannah brain throwing a party for a successful foraging trip. It literally thinks it just found the ultimate berry bush. Second, we prioritize short-term rewards over long-term security. A vacation today feels incredibly real and super rewarding, whereas financial security at age 65, that feels impossibly vague. Third, we struggle deeply with abstract long-term planning. To our ancient brains, 30 years from now basically doesn't even exist, only surviving until tomorrow exists. And finally, perhaps most dangerously, we subconsciously view saved money as wasted resources. If you have cash just sitting in a checking account doing nothing, your primal instincts get agitated. They push you to convert it into a tangible, consumable asset. Honestly, it is completely normal that you struggle with this. Your biology is actively trying to hijack your wallet. But there is good news. Let's move to Part 4, escaping the savings trap, how we can actually go about overriding your evolutionary hardwiring. You are absolutely not doomed to remain trapped by this evolutionary hardwiring. Just recognizing this biological mismatch is the very first step to escaping it. So the crucial point is that we need a clear mental model to override our ancient instincts, and it really comes down to 3 deliberate steps. Step 1, recognize the biological urge to spend. When you feel that sudden burning desire to buy something you don't actually need, label it. Literally say to yourself, hey, that's just my savannah brain trying to eat all the berries. Just naming the feeling strips away a whole lot of its power. Step 2, pause to separate the impulse from the action. You've got to introduce friction into your buying process. Try implementing a strict 24-hour rule before making any non-essential purchase. That pause acts as a critical circuit breaker. It allows the intense dopamine spike of the initial impulse to fade out, handing control right back to your logical modern brain. And step 3, consciously prioritize modern, long-term saving by making it automatic. If you automate your savings so the money just moves to a different account the exact day you get paid, you completely remove the daily decision-making process. You don't even give your ancient brain the chance to debate whether or not to consume the resource because it's already safely stored away out of sight. Which leaves us with this final, really vital thought. We've uncovered the biological sabotage. We've traced it all the way back to the ancient savannah, and we've outlined exactly how to build a mental circuit breaker to stop it. Now that you know the trap actually exists, who is going to be in charge of your wallet moving forward? Are you going to let your ancient, primitive brain blindly drive you toward impulse? Or will you step up, use your modern logic, and take conscious control of your financial destiny? The choice and the savings are entirely yours.